through here. So first, what's the natural habitat of the striped pyjama squid, which at the aquarium we always have shortened names for these animals, so we just call them PJs. So if I say that, you know what I mean. So where do they come from? Where's their natural habitat? And then what kind of a habitat do we set up for them, both in our display tank as well as behind the scenes? Because if any of you have ever visited Bret at the aquarium, we have lots and lots of tanks for backup animals. And so I'll show you both of those. Then I'm going to go through a timeline of closing the life cycle and show you images from that. And then the only part of this work that I can really take responsibility for is, as I said, everyone else is rearing them on a daily basis, and I only come in once a week or every other week and do my measurements. So I'll show you the growth curves, both mantle length and then mass, over the course of the lifetime in the lab, and then sort of future directions that I'm interested as someone that has a background in behavior of cephalopods. So their natural habitat is from 1 to 250 meters, apparently, around most of Australia, so southwest and east coast, but apparently not along the north. And so, of course, with that depth range and then also that geographical range, they have quite a large range of temperatures that you can raise them in. They're usually found, this is a species that varies during the day and is nocturnal, and I've actually done some infrared camera recordings to just see how true that is and compare. I videotape them during the day and then videotape them at night, and yes, they pretty much sit around buried or half buried during the day, and they will come out and actually be active, swim around and hunt at night. So the picture on the lower left shows their normal situation during the day. They're often found near seagrass beds, so in some of our tanks we try to provide fake seagrass so they feel like they're in a natural habitat. Of course, in the public aquarium we don't really want them to be buried all day because that's not really a strong selling point to just have people pay to come see a pair of eyes under the sand. So what we usually do is we give them some substrate. So the picture on the left side is actually our current exhibit tank. So you see, we give them right now we give them a black substrate, which is not really a natural substrate, but it's sand. But we only give them so much substrate that they can bury halfway, and so people don't have to work really hard to try and find the animals. And so turns out this is one of the great things I think about the species is that naturally they do bury all the time, but they don't seem to be stressed out by not being able to bury. I never observed any stress behaviors. As I said, they spend most of the day. They're very loath to pretty much move as far as I've ever observed during the day. So even when you put food in, if the food item lands right in front of their face and they are hungry, they will sometimes grab it. But even if they have to rotate from their resting position, they don't seem that interested in even doing that. So they swim rarely during the day and feed infrequently. I've never observed any aggression between individuals, either sex or intersex. And then the only time I've ever observed them to ink is when I'm trying to catch them with a fish net, and they're not that happy about it. So I've never seen them ink. So they're pretty calm and chill. And I put the images up on the right because the upper right is actually, we have an area in the tentacles exhibit, which I probably should have mentioned before. That's where these animals are. So it's an exhibit at the Monterey Bay Aquarium for any that haven't met Bret or were at the last kayak meeting. And it's all cephalopods. So we've got mollusc, cuttlefish, squid, and octopuses. So sorry about that. Anyway, we have this section that's called the egg lab, and we have 3 small cylinders. They're about maybe 7 centimeters in diameter, and that's where we display the young of a number of, so we'll have each of the 3 tanks is a different species, and we'll rotate them through. So sometimes we'll just have eggs in there that are developing, sometimes will have brand new hatchlings, sometimes will have young. So the individuals actually on the upper right are maybe the size of a bean. And you see them piled on top of each other, and they don't seem to be bothered by being densely populated in a tank, which I think is another potentially good aspect for animals that you might want to keep in the lab. Like I said, again, I never saw them be aggressive to each other. As long as they can sit on the bottom or on top of another individual, they seem to be okay with that. So now I'll go through the timeline. Okay, there's the clicker. There we go. So I just have a timeline up here from, of course, hatching until, so the original individuals that we got, so we first got eggs and 15 hatchlings from Robbie McCracken at the Manly Sea Life Aquarium, which is kind of within Sydney Bay. And he sent them, we got them at late summer, early fall of 2015. And so some of those first individuals that we got and hatched out lived for 65 weeks, was the last one. So I'll show you first what the hatchlings look like. So of course, as in most cephalopods, but not all, so they don't have a paralarval stage, they settle right out. And they look exactly like miniature adults. It's pretty cute. Just to show you, we do feed them mysids. We feed them Americomyces bahia, but that's one that are found in the Gulf of Mexico and aquaculture in Florida, so that's not going to be appropriate for everyone. The important thing is size. So we don't feed them for the first 3 days to a week as they absorb the rest of their yolk, and then we start feeding them. And the hatchlings are about, I would say, 3 millimeters mantle length. And once we start, so they're getting to the 5 and 6 millimeters once we start feeding them. And so we pretty much match the total length of the animal with the length of the mysid that we feed them, and they grow really well on that. Okay, so the first time that we observed them mating was at 16 weeks, and then you see them mating throughout the rest of their life. So they mate face to face, and generally the larger individual is the female. So you'll see when I show you the growth data, the females are generally are larger overall. For the adults, we feed them just glass shrimp or grass shrimp, just marine shrimp that you can get at any public aquaculture facility. We get ours shipped from Florida to California 2 or 3 times a week, which is kind of ridiculous, but that's how, apparently that's what people do in Florida, is they raise food for public aquariums and things like that. So also wanted to show you, so this is a behind the scenes tank, so just showing you sort of the fake seagrass we have in there. And also one of the best things we found for egg laying is just old abalone shells or old large scallop shells. But they will lay on pretty much anything. So if you unfortunately can't get some of these, they will lay on. So if you get about 5, sorry, I'm not very good with centimeters, but I'm trying for you guys. So about 5 centimeter diameter PVC tubes, and cut them in half longitudinally, so that they're like a little half tunnel. They will lay eggs in those, or if you have any pieces of coral rubble like this, they will lay under there. But definitely their preferred egg laying area would be an abalone shell. I don't know why, but they seem to really like that really smooth surface on the inside of the shell. So at about 18 and a half weeks to 24 weeks, at 18 and a half weeks I would start to be able to determine between the sexes, and then by 24 weeks I was able to fully determine which ones were males and which ones were females. And it luckily is really easy, because if you flip them over, this is a female with the paired nenomental glands, and then the male on the right. So then the first eggs we started noticing at 24 weeks, and they lay them in multiple batches over their entire life period. By the time we had females that were at 65 weeks, they weren't laying very many eggs anymore. And unfortunately, we have them in tanks together. We never actually had females that were in tanks on their own, so I couldn't tell you how many eggs any given female was laying. But I think they're fairly prolific, and they lay over this long time period. So this is what the eggs look like. So of course you can see this is the inside, the underside of one of those large abalone shells. When the eggs are really recently, I think within the first couple hours, they're translucent. But as they get a couple hours old or older, they become somewhat opaque. So what we do is we harvest them from the shells or the half PVC tubes or whatever they're laid on, and we put them in, we call this a cuddle cradle. So it's just a PVC frame tube with a mesh basket on top, and then you can see the holes we have drilled in here. So this is the, sorry, sort of working. Anyway, over on the right, you can see the water input hose that goes through the hollow PVC tubes and then comes out and upward through the basket to keep the eggs well aerated and to help keep them from fouling. And then the mesh allows, once any given embryo hatches out of the egg, they can just swim right down to the bottom. So here's the first growth curve. This is the mantle length. So the grayed out area is that 18 and a half to 24 week period where I was able to determine the sex. So here, this is that on the left, where sometimes looking. So all the circles are immature individuals, or I couldn't determine, so it's a mix of males or future males and females, whatever, average. And then after this grayed out area, you can see the triangles are the average mantle lengths for the females, and the squares are the average mantle length for the males. And the different colors are just different hatching times, so there's not really any difference. That's just for my keeping track. Okay. So you can kind of see that the females are somewhat longer than the males, but there's not a huge separation. And that has to do with, these animals don't have a cuddle bone or any hard structure in them. So when I'm measuring their mantle length, they can actually, like, if they're annoyed, they can contract. And if they're more relaxed, they can. So there's a little bit more variability there. But you can see a well-defined difference in the mass, because they can't really fake that. So you can see the females are more massive. Not surprisingly, that's fairly common with cephalopods and lots of other species. So, moving along. So I just want to briefly talk about, they have a pretty basic pattern, black and white stripes. The black can be either emphasized or not really. And so that leads into, what's their pattern diversity compared to, of course, we all know, like, cephalopods are well known to have high pattern diversity. These guys are pretty limited, not surprising for an animal that spends most of its daytime buried. And then, theoretically, I think most people would agree this is probably some sort of diamantic or disruptive coloration to black and white stripes. But what I am interested in is, okay, are these unique to individuals? Are they like human fingerprints? Can we track them over time behaviorally? So I just quickly took some images as I was weighing them. So the silver background is the scale, and then matched up. I took more images than just these individuals, but for purposes of fitting it all on this one slide, I just did 6. So this was the first time. The top is the first time period, and then I just matched them up with a week, or I forget if it was 1 week or 2 weeks later. So unfortunately, that's not a long time scale, but I actually think these patterns are pretty stable, which I think would be really great for behavioral studies with a pretty small animal that has a nice lifespan, is very prolific, easy to keep, they're pretty robust. So that's why I wanted to present this to you guys, because I think it would be a really, of course we started this, Bret was the impetus for having this animal in the aquarium, but I think it would be a really great study subject. And I think one of the things they have to think about with the cost action, and we should be thinking about this even outside of that. What's the best animal for the question that you're trying to ask? Whether that be ease of culturing them or ease of having them in the lab, or just kind of another one of the welfare aspects that I think we should be thinking about. So with that, I want to thank you, and also want to say a lot of you do know Bret. If you don't know Bret, does a really great job at aquaculturing cephalopods, and he just moved from Monterey Bay Aquarium to the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole, Massachusetts. He just started earlier this month, so I'm not it's kind of up and coming, but if you're interested in some of the work or want to ask him more questions, because again, I'm not the aquaculturist, I'm not the aquarist here, but he's got a website, assistance.com, that if you want to get in contact with him, I'm sure he would be more than willing to help anyone with questions. But I'll take questions regarding the talk. So thank you.